Good evening and welcome to the Columbus County Schools Board of Education. I'm sorry, I'm getting too fast. Be ready just a second, please. We're going Facebook Live. Good evening and welcome to the Columbus County Schools Board of Education Candidates Forum, hosted by the Columbus County Chamber of Commerce and Tourism. I'm Dan Strickland, Chairman of the Chamber. I would like to thank each of you this evening for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be with us in this event. The voices of the business in our community, the Chamber of Commerce takes great pride in hosting candidates forums to give our members and the general public an opportunity to hear from candidates about their positions on issues that affect our business environment and the community. I would like to thank all the candidates this evening. Thank you for being with us. I appreciate your attendance, but most importantly, your willingness to serve our community. As we begin, will you bow please with a word of prayer? Dear Lord, we thank you for this beautiful day. We ask your blessings upon our members, our staff, and our panelists tonight. We are thankful that we have the citizens who will take time and the interest in our county schools and especially our students. Everything that we do, let others see you in us. We say in a loving name. Amen. Our moderator this evening is Les High, publisher of the News Reporter. They are great partners with us in the Chamber, and we're thankful for their consistent promotion of Chamber's events and programs. Les, thank you for your leadership within the Chamber and also moderating tonight's events. Thank you again.
All right, thank you, Dan, and welcome everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so tonight we'll examine the race for Columbus County Districts 1 and 5. These are nonpartisan, so there are no parties involved. There are 5 members on the school board, and we will replace 2 of those in November. In District 1, which represents the eastern parts of the county, you've got incumbent Randy Coleman, who we hope will join us, and he is challenged by Pam Jacobs and Carl Bracey. Steve Long is unchallenged in District 5, which essentially lies in the southeastern quadrant of the county. He replaces longtime member Junior Dew, who chose not to seek re-election this time. For our audience at home, the candidates were provided a copy of the rules, and here's a brief overview for our audience. Each candidate will begin with a 2-minute opening statement. The moderator will then pose 4 questions submitted prior to the event. All candidates will be given an opportunity to answer each question. The questions were not shared with the candidates beforehand. Candidates will be given 2 minutes to answer each question. A chime can be heard when 15 seconds remains. Then a second chime will indicate when it's time to stop. Each candidate will go first on one of the questions, and at the end, each candidate will be given 1 minute for a closing statement. So let's get started. We'll have our 2-minute opening statement, and it will be in this order. To be Carl Bracey, Randy Coleman, who hasn't joined us yet. So then we'd go to Pam Jacobs and then to Steve Long. So Carl, your 2-minute opening statement.
All right. First of all, I'd like to thank the Columbus Chamber of Commerce and Tourism for hosting this event. Getting the word out is very important in democracy, and I'm glad that y'all have done this. Again, I'm Carl Bracey, taught about 30 years here in Columbus County, graduated from McMidelco, taught about 24 years at East Columbus High School, lifelong resident, wanted to come back here and teach. A lot of kids, younger ones now are leaving. I am proud to be able to run against such qualified candidates as Pam and Randy. And I look forward to the next, 90 days or 85 days, whatever's left on that. I taught in the classroom for 18 years. I really and truly believe that for a school system or a particular school to be successful is you've got to have strong leadership. The principal is really important. But right beside that, not equal to, but just a notch below are the teachers that are there. Because a term that is used all the time now, they are frontline workers. They're the ones that interact with the young people every day. This county has taken a beating in the last few years with its reputation. I feel like that with great leadership and the positive flow of information to get out to the public will help Columbus County Schools. I do know that as far as when I was teaching, if a teacher gets to know the kids will do what they ask. And it is very important that the teachers know each kid's situation. This county has a lot of big decisions to make in the next few years. It could be the next term when one of us are elected there. You have to take all the information you got and try to make the best decision for our county and our students. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Carl. Pam, you're next.
Good evening, everybody. Like he said, my name is Pamela Young Jacobs. I'm married to Belton Jacobs, and together we have 6 children and 2 grandsons. I want to also say thank you to Columbus County Chamber for holding this event. I decided to run for this seat because I believe in our school system. This system gave a little girl who was struggling a chance to be something greater than her circumstances. Miss Lavender was our first grade teacher at Hallsboro Elementary. She didn't know that she was teaching a little girl who had been sexually abused, but she cared for her and she showed her love daily. Miss Sellers, Thurman, and Miss Betty Tyler didn't know when this child moved up to their class that sometimes her dad would drink at night and she didn't get much sleep. When she got to high school, Miss Register didn't know that this young lady was contemplating suicide because she battled depression. And neither did Miss Morrison when she told this young lady that one day she would run for public office because she had a gift. And Miss Jordan became her lifelong friend. You see, these amazing teachers changed her life. You could even say that they saved her. They had faith in her and gave her confidence in herself. Now, you may say that I have just shared too much information with you tonight, but I say that I believe that it is a time for us to be real in recognizing the struggles of our students and think outside the box and work with administrators through policies and programs to support our teachers and meet students where they are. I have a godly passion for our students. That coupled with my experience in economic development, policy writing, business, and over 20 years of service to our students in various roles, equips me. I'm the mom who will not grow weary in working hard with our teachers, parents, and administrators. For you see, I was that little girl. And I believe in our system. And I believe, as Carl has said, my opponent, that there are some big decisions that we have to make. And in making those decisions, it's going to take us working together with the administrators, the teachers, the parents, and the students to do what's best for them. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Steve.
First, I'd like to thank the Chamber for hosting this. So I hope you can hear me.
Yeah.
My name is Steve A. Long. I live in the Fireway community with my wife, Renee, who is a retired teacher with 31 years of service. I'm a native of Brunswick County. I grew up 6 miles from where I live now, so I've been really close to Columbus County my whole life. I grew up in Longwood. I retired from ATMC with over 40 years of service. I started at the bottom, crawling under houses and climbing poles. I retired as vice president with 9 different departments under me. In my job, I had to prepare and administer a very thorough budget. I think this will help me in the decision-making process for the school district. I was instrumental in convincing ATMC to bring service to Columbus County initially. I helped design and oversaw the construction of the first system we built here, and that system came in ahead of schedule and under budget. I believe my background in communications will be useful to the school administration in trying to get as much high-speed access to our students and our staff and teachers as possible. I plan to bring a common sense business approach and to also use what I have seen in my wife's experience in her 31 years as an educator to this job. I feel like I've been blessed to be able to retire, and now I'd like to give back to our community in this way. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Steve. All right, so we're ready for our first question, and it'll be in this order. It'll be Carl, then Pam, then Steve. And Dan, since we have just 3 on the panel tonight, we're going to need to pick names for that last question. If you can have that ready for us on the fourth question. So Carl, Pam, and Steve. So Carl, with the decrease in students, the county has lost millions in state funding, which follows the number of students. To balance its budget, the board chose to pursue consolidation of smaller schools into larger ones. Did you support this plan, and do you see more consolidation in the future?
I did support this plan. I still do support it. When you've got to live within your means. And we have a lot of schools in this county that are old, and we have got to cut back costs. And that was one way to do it. I know communities were upset with it. As a teacher who taught at Acme Delco High School, when they took the high school there with Hallsboro and formed East Columbus, everybody on our end of the county was supportive of it because of the opportunities for more classes to be offered and a better chance for the people to be exposed to a lot of more curriculum. The decisions they had to make are not popular. They had to make a business decision. And I take my hat off to them for making that decision, because overall it is what is best for the county. We can't continue to bleed money, and we've got to live within our means.
Thank you. Okay, Pam? Pam, you're muted. Hold on just one second. Okay. Try that now. Still not hearing you. Still no look. Steve, let's go to you, and we'll come back to you, Pam. Is that okay?
I agree with Carl. I grew up, as I said, in Brunswick County, went to Waccamaw High School. It was K through 12. I was the last graduating class, and it was consolidated into larger high schools and made a K-8 school. And my 4 small schools, absolutely. But I believe we must do what is the best for our students. If being in small school settings works, that's fine, but we have got to live, as he said, within our means. We have got to work with a budget, and we've got to keep our school system where it's viable for everybody. I would support it again based on the facts that came up at the time. I believe that we have to study everything, every fact that's available, and then make the best decision for our kids. As I said, I still support smaller schools, but we've got to do what's best for our kids. And we have been entrusted to be stewards for the county's tax money. We have got to take and use that money in a way that best serves our students.
Thank you. All right, Pam, let's see what we got.
Ask her if she'll mute and then unmute.
Okay, if you'll mute and then unmute, let's try that.
She's not muted.
Yeah, still not having any luck. Yeah. Well, I tell you what we can do. Pam, why don't you maybe log out and then come back on? We're going to go to the next question, then we'll come back to you for this question. How's that sound? Okay, great. All right, so Carl and Steve, you're still with me. So this next question will go to Steve. Assuming the pandemic continues for months, what is your philosophy regarding the mix of classroom learning versus online learning?
I believe the best place to educate our students is in a face-to-face classroom setting. But we must do that in a way that is beneficial and does not place our students, our teachers, and our staff in jeopardy. We've got to work out a plan based on our local and state health departments, our local and state educational professionals, that will bring up a plan that will get us where we need to be. We have got to try to work toward getting all students in school, but we've got to do it in a way that protects them. As I said earlier, my background's in communications, and I believe this is where one of the liabilities we have in Columbus County is the lack of communications. If it continues, being able to advance our high-speed data systems is going to be critical.
Very good, Carl. So Carl, the question is regarding the mix of classroom learning and online learning. What is your philosophy?
Well, it starts with this. I want to give credit to our superintendent and board members there, because they have gone through some stuff. It's unprecedented, and they are trying to handle it to the best of their ability. First and foremost, the kids need to be in school. I liked what I read. Just what I read was what they're doing at the elementary schools, is that it was going so well that they're able to bring in 2 more grades, a couple of weeks early. That is a positive sign. My biggest concern with the virtual learning is with our county. I'm sorry, but it's sad that we're a fifth of the way through the 21st century, and some places still don't have internet. And that's beyond our control. But we have to somehow get those young people educated. And I would love to see them all in school. But we have got to make sure that we follow the CDC guidelines and protect our workers. I have so much empathy for the teachers right now, what they're going through. Like I said, I used to teach for 30 years. I never had to go through anything like this. I respect them more than I did to begin, and the administrators. It's hard, but unprecedented times, you have to do unprecedented things. The kids that can't get the virtual learning for whatever reason, I would love to see community hotspots to where maybe 10 or 15 kids could go and share an internet with the social spacing. But we've got to think outside the box to do this. We need them back in school, but until that happens, we've got to educate the ones that are not being able to get to school. And that's why I think the internet is so important.
Pam, let's do a test run here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
sweet. All right. So what we'll do, Pam, I'll read you the question that Steve and Carl just had and let you answer that. Then we'll go back to number 1 and let you answer that one. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So this is the one, number 2. Assuming the pandemic continues for months, what is your philosophy regarding the mix of classroom learning versus online learning?
Over the past probably several weeks, I've had some conversations with parents and teachers. And we're talking about the fact that, parents have got to be able to go to work and provide for their families. So those parents have been doing fairly well at their children being able to do the online part. And the children going into the classroom that need to be there. Some kids feel like that, especially in math and other subjects that are a little more difficult for them, they feel like that they need to be in the classroom. I also agree that the administration has done an outstanding job, because it is very difficult what's going on right now. As a healthcare provider for the last 17 years, I believe that in looking across the board at how the school system is handling those children coming in, it looks like we are doing above and beyond what the CDC is requiring. We're checking those temperatures, making sure you're doing the 3 W's. You need to wait 6 feet. You need to make sure you're washing your hands and wearing your masks. And it looks like to me that they're doing the best job to do that and keep those children safe. We know that the children have to be educated. And again, I believe that the teachers and administrators have done an outstanding job for that. When I checked today, our totals are up to collectively 1,054 cases and still at 50 deaths. So we know that this situation is very serious. So I think that we need to continue to push hard and make sure that our children are safe, and our teachers and all of our staff members. So I think that for our situation right now, looking forward, that the best thing that we can do is look at the trends, see how things are going, and make sure that we continue to keep those children and our classroom environment safe.
Thank you. So we'll go back to question 1 for you, Pam. And by the way, don't feel bad about this Zoom stuff. I read yesterday where Pam went from, they had 10 million users last year. They're at 300 million daily users now. And they lost communications for 7 hours yesterday. So it's still a work in progress.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy because I wasn't muted and I could hear you. You just couldn't hear me. So I think it just needed a hard reset.
Well, I'm glad we've got Zoom, actually. It's a good platform. So back to question number 1 for Pam. With the decrease in students, the county has lost millions in state funding, which follows the number of students. To balance its budget, the board chose to pursue consolidation of smaller schools into larger ones. Did you support this plan, and do you see more consolidation in the future?
Honestly, looking at this in the beginning, I totally understood, because we had folks that were upset because their schools had to be closed. Because whenever you look at your students across the counties, across the communities, you know, there's a certain culture of students that like to stay together. So I know that it was a very difficult decision in having to close those schools. But whenever you look at what the state says, and when you drop below a certain number of students, therefore you have no other choice but to do what the state somewhat mandates you to do. So I believe that they did make the best possible choice, although it was difficult. I think that our children are resilient, and I think that they will do well as they're coming together. And I remember whenever I was going to school, you know, we didn't have elementary, middle, and high. We just had elementary and high. So when I was thinking about how they were consolidating, I said, well, it's kind of back to the beginning, and we all did well. So I have faith in the system that we're going to do well with these students coming together and being consolidated like we are. But we do have to make sure that we are spending the money that we have, so that we can look for more courses, that we can get our children better equipped to be able to go off and level the playing field whenever they're going off to college. We want them to be able to, you know, obtain good work. They want to be able to get gainful employment and be able to compete with those that are at the university level. So I believe that making that decision and bringing in some additional classes and being able to bring some resources together will show in the long run to equip our students that they will be able to be stronger.
Very good. All right, so Pam, the way it was drawn up originally, you're still on the hook. So Pam.
After I muted.
I know. So it'll be Pam, Steve, and Carl, and then we'll draw and see who goes first on the last question. And Pam, it may be you, but if it is, it's luck of the draw.
All right.
All right, so Pam, Steve, and Carl. In what areas are the schools most successful, and in what areas are they least successful? For those areas you consider least successful, name specific improvements you'd pursue.
So the areas that I feel like that we are successful is our time, talent, and treasures. Our administrators and our teachers and our parents are definitely the positives for us, because we have a group of people, we have a group of employees that are there. They got their heart in it. They're willing to work hard. They're willing to offer assistance to our students that are having difficulty trying to do the online. You know, I see the teachers that are offering tutoring to those students. So definitely our time, talent, and our treasures, I believe are a lot of our strengths. Some of the challenges that we do have is, I know that we need more equipment, like in our science department. Some of the teachers were saying, you know, we need like 3D science goggles, so in order to kind of improve on the STEM program, so that our students will be able to perform better and on the technological side. So I believe that if we look at what our challenges and what our strengths are and measure those, then we come up with a plan that will help us to do better. And that whenever you look across the board, if we can build a school system that when others look at coming into our county for economic development and they see a strong system, a school system, then those industries are going to want to come here. And when they come here and bring in industry, then when our students are, when they graduate and they go off to college, you know, the one thing that I can say as a parent is that when your child graduates high school, your hope and your goal is that they would be able to come home and they would be able to have gainful employment here. So I believe that if we look on the side of trying to make sure that we focus on our strengths and bring in programs that will help those students be more equipped to go out and come back, I think that will be one of the best things that we can do to equip our students.
Great, thank you. So Steve, where are the schools most successful? And then in areas where they're not as successful, what would you do to make those improvements?
I think that one of the most successful areas of our schools, as Pam said, was our personnel. I believe they are outstanding from the top to the bottom. I believe they give everything. I've seen my wife work weekends, nights, whatever she had to do, and I believe our teachers in Columbus County do the same thing. They are trying their best to bring what they can to our students in a really bad situation right now. It's hard to even consider that question without bringing the COVID issue in and all the points with it. But going forward, I see that our scores in math and reading are fairly low. And I believe we need to look at trying to set up a package that we can attract the best possible teachers, staff, and administrators and hold them here in this county and not have them looking for work elsewhere. The better our staff is, the better education our kids are going to get. It's going to raise our scores and make our schools even better. We need to pull a plan together that will attract the best, keep the best, and then we'll move forward and raise our scores and help our kids to have that place where if they want to go to college, the scores are high enough. If they want to look for a job, we've trained them well to go out into the workforce.
Very good. Okay, Carl.
Well, one of the strengths of our county is that, for better or worse, everybody knows everybody, and that's the community aspect. With that occurring, you have the ability to drive people to become more involved in their communities and therefore the schools. One of the biggest challenges I see is that we have to stop somehow the exodus of our students from different factors, and not going to get into that. And so I really believe that we have to promote ourselves better. We have to show how good East Columbus is, and we need to let people know how good East Columbus is. But one thing that hurts us with our students leaving for various reasons is that our county has to find new ways and new jobs. I am a big advocate of two things when it comes to education. I believe that academics and vocation skills should be taught at the same level. How many students have graduated from, I'm gonna say East Columbus just because I taught there, that once they graduated, they didn't go to college. Not everybody is meant to go to college, but how many of them had some type of skill to where they could make a high paying wage? I think that's the big challenge. And if we can get the jobs into here, and y'all are probably aware of it, and me being from that end, now there, I think it's a positive thing. Brunswick County is coming to that end of the county. And that is an opportunity for us out of District 1 to make sure that we promote our school so that we can get the students to come in to increase the population to where we would have more money from the state. Our teachers do a great job with what they have. And it's well known that every teacher spends a lot of money out of their own pocket to make sure for the kids. I can't tell you how many times I've purchased pairs of shoes for kids to play basketball or football. Don't like to televise that. But we have got to get the jobs in here to make people want to stay here. I have two sons. One taught at East Columbus. South Columbus for 2 years. And I said, son, you don't have to stay here because I did. That was a choice I made. Go see what it's like in other counties. He taught for 1 year at Corinth Holders. He loved it, but the pay wasn't there. I have another son who teaches in Angier or lives in Angier, which is near Raleigh.
Oh, we got to wrap it up. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, but again, I'm sorry. I was going. Thank you. I didn't even hear it buzz.
I understand. All right, so it looks like Steve, you're going to, on the fourth question, last question, Steve will go first, followed by Pamela, and then followed by Carl. So Steve, here's the last question. So Steve, Pam, and Carl. If you're a public school teacher today, what are you thinking about? Not necessarily defined by the pandemic, but in terms of your career and the challenges of being a teacher. I can read that again if you need me to.
Yes, read it again.
Okay, if you're a public school teacher today, what are you thinking about? Not necessarily in terms of the pandemic, but in terms of your career and the challenges of being a teacher.
If you leave the pandemic out of this and look at a teaching career, I really have seen my wife start and end a career in the public school system. The first and foremost thing is the student. You've got to be focused. You've got to love those kids, and you've got to want to do it. That's what a teacher is, and that's what our teachers here in Columbus County are, the ones I've met. I believe that looking forward, you really, in the back of your mind, you want to be able to make enough money to support your family and live. But that's secondary to wanting to educate that child and make a difference in that child's life. I can't tell you the children that walk up to my wife on the street today and thank her. That's what a teacher lives for. That's what they're looking at, is what they can do for our children. Yes, they want as much money as they can make, as we all have in our career. But what their focus is on that child. What can I do to help that child? And that's what, if I were a teacher today, everything would be solely focused on what I can do. How can I better myself as a teacher to better help that child?
Thank you. Okay, Pam, if you're a public school teacher today, what are you thinking about? Not necessarily defined by the pandemic, but in terms of your career and its challenges.
My focus would be, how do I reach the students in my class in the times that we're living in? So we know that the times that we live in today are totally different than even whenever I went to school. Drugs is on the rise. Students have, many of them have only one parent in the household, or they're raised by their grandparents. And my goal would be, how do I come into the classroom and inspire these students that they understand that they don't have to, their future doesn't have to be their past. It doesn't have to be where they came from. I coached at East Columbus for the varsity cheerleading program. And when I came in, my cheerleaders, they did not have a lot of skills as far as stunting. Over time, I built relationships with people who did at other universities that came in and partnered with me. And as we were going forward, and these girls would learn more skills, they began to believe in themselves. And the more I would say, you can do it, that we don't say, I can't. That was a forbidden word. The more I would say to them that you can do it, and the more they believed in themselves, they began to perform at the level that I expected them to. We came from not competing at hardly anywhere to winning a state championship and being the first school in from East Columbus, or in Columbus County, that went to nationals and placed. We went to a competition, and one of the girls cried afterward. And her mom said, "Why are you crying?" And she said, "You don't understand how hard we worked and what we have accomplished, because this never happened before." So I believe that no matter what the demographic is in your classroom or in the number of students that you are either teaching, that you're leading, or that you are a mentor for, that you have the ability to instill in them that you have faith in them. Just like my teachers did me when I was a little girl coming along and I had all of these issues at home. I never told anybody about those issues, but my teachers spoke life into me, and they began to love me, and they would encourage me to where I began to have faith in myself. And I believe that when we give our students, help them to have that inspiration and give them something to be proud of in what they've done, that they continue to perform at the level that we expect them to. I fully believe that. I think we have the best students, the best teachers. The county is just full of talent. And I believe that it's our job to cultivate that talent, that they will want to come back and they want to lift somebody else up and help them with their education.
Thank you. All right, Carl. On the last question tonight, if you're a public school teacher today, what are you thinking about, not necessarily defined by the pandemic, but in terms of your career and its challenges?
Well, if I was a teacher today, I'd wonder why I didn't go ahead and retire early before the pandemic happened. But no, I'm just joking. The most rewarding part of being a teacher is when you get a child, a student, that everybody has cast aside, and you get them headed in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
When I was at East Columbus, I taught civics for about 18 years. And most of the time, you know, I'd have an honors class, but I had the one level, they used to call level 1s and 2, my most rewarding classes to teach. Because if you show that you care about that student will run through a brick wall for you. And that's what these kids need. And teachers are dedicated. You have to be dedicated. Some of your best teachers are also your best coaches, because they know how to communicate and get that deep part out of that child, that student, to make it in the future. And it is, the teacher is the most important, because like I said, opening statement, they are the frontline workers. If those teachers love their students, show they care, anything is possible. And I can't stand it. And I would tell my students when they came in, I said, you know, I don't care what kind of reputation you have in another class. I don't care. I don't care. It's what you do in my class. So their slate was clean. And then you were able to mold them, and you couldn't reach them all. Lord knows I tried, but you can't reach them all. But you've got to show how much you love your job. That's the first thing. If you don't love your job, you don't need to be teaching. That's the bottom line. I used to tell people, 180 days with the children there, 179 of them I enjoyed going to work. That one day was tough, but that is the truth. Show the kids you care. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl. All right, so those are all the questions. And now we'll do a 1-minute summation that essentially answers the question, why are you the best candidate for the job? And the order will be Steve, Pam, and Carl. So 1 minute on why you're the best person for the job.
Somehow I've lost video again, but can you hear me?
I can. We've actually got both, Steve.
Okay, great. I don't have any video, but good. In closing, if I'm elected to this job, I will make our students the #1 priority. I will support our school faculty and staff at the individual school level. I will visit the schools in my district and listen to what the staff has to say. I will use all the information available to make informed decisions for the district. I ask for your support on November the 3rd to help make our Columbus County students #1.
Thank you. Okay, Carl.
Oh, Carl, I thought you said Pam was next. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we've lost Pam's feed, so hopefully we'll get it back here in just a second.
Okay. Why I'm the best candidate. I feel like that with my experience in Columbus County of teaching, like I said, for about 29, 30 years, knowing the community, and I know what it takes to make a school successful, what it makes a classroom successful. I know that I feel like that. Well, okay, I feel like with my experience, I'm getting a lot of feedback. But I feel like with my experience that I can have insight of what needs to go on in the school system. I have a lot of knowledge that I have learned. I've had great mentors. I've worked for some great principals. I've tried to learn from all of them and feel like I can instill that into our board of education. And I'm a consensus builder because, I'm just one vote. You got to get a majority to get that done. And it's, as Steve said, it's what is best for the children. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl. Okay, Pam, 1 minute summation.
As a parent, I understand having a child with ADD because I've been there. As a single mom trying to raise her kids and put food on the table, I've been there. A minority student that doesn't belong, I've been there. Or a mom who has lost her youngest child, I've been there too. I'm a health director, a grant and policy writer, a youth leader, a vice chairwoman, a former coach. So as a professional, I understand the struggles that we face, but I know that we are stronger together. And with Christ, we can change the face of the culture of can't and inspire students, support teachers and administrators, and equip our system with the tools necessary according to our duties, through policies and programs to build a stronger school system that will attract the much needed economic growth and infrastructure to our county. On November the 3rd, a vote for me is not only a vote for change, but a vote for progress for our children. I believe that my professional background, coupled with my time and experience the last 20 years of these children, that I can be what they need. Thank you.
All right. Great job, everybody. That concludes tonight's broadcast. On behalf of the chamber, thank you for your willingness to serve. It's a tough job, and it's great to see people who care so much about our children that put themselves out there. Good luck on November the 3rd, and thank you for being here tonight. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.